found out what little girls grow up to be when they daddy ain't home.
Right.
Profit.
You know what men grow up to be when their daddy ain't home?
What profit?
Poets. Y'all doing all right?
Yes.
I'm gonna tell y'all a personal little testimony of mine when my daddy went home. See, Dad, I've bit my tongue so long that what speaks now is the blood that leaks out of my closed mouth from the pressure of my teeth that somehow vowed to keep in the words that could be the key to our deliverance. See, at times I felt the need to believe it was coincidence that the name given to me matched perfectly with the one of your own existence. Especially when I was alone, disowned, and distant, and I tried forgetting all the lies and the instances where you left me sitting in the window counting down those 10 minutes in which you said you'd be picking me up. 6 hours later, I remained in the window pane in the same position, and I would get mad and offended when Mom asked me to take off my stuff. Tears in her eyes as I refused to realize that she called your bluff, and as if not showing up wasn't enough, the part I hated was I could never get in touch with you to find out why you never made it, except for this one occasion when I found you sleeping at my cousin's house naked, lying with the woman and your best friend Nick, who you just caught this overnight train with. And what's amazing is I still find ways to forgive you for what you put me through, although my mind is inclined on reminiscing to days when I was little to find what time with me seemed significant to you. Like taking pictures on lion statues at Lincoln Park Zoo, where you taking me to neighborhood pubs so we can embark in the game of pool, and I was too short and unable to reach the table, so you would teach me to shoot from a stool. And to me, you were the epitome of cool, because everywhere we were seen there was someone you knew, and you quickly introduced me to everyone and proudly called me your son. And when you spoke, I hung to your every word and succumbed to every urge to challenge the choices you made. Even on the weeks you got paid, cash and checked, and left us for days, returning only when your money was spent. And Mom, she would pretend not to be fazed. But in your absence, I had to take your place wiping her tears. And I made excuses for why you weren't here. So after living in your lives from the beginning of my life to almost 6 years old, I was then introduced to a side of you that I still wish I would have never known. See, it was morning, and Mom was on her way to work and leaving us home alone, and soon after she was gone, you got on the phone, and when you got off, told me to go take a nap in the room with this cold tone that you had never used before. And it wasn't long after that I heard the bell and the voice of a woman at the door, and of course as a kid I came to inspect, and there stood this fat, nasty, haggard-faced white woman with cellulite from her ankles to her neck. And when you turned around, you looked upset, like my presence was the one you didn't expect. And with no introduction, you gave me that same cold tone instruction once more, and my ears were then subjected to chuckling that became moans, and I looked out to check and see what was going on, not knowing what I was in for, not knowing my eyes would find my father having sex with this home-wrecking whore on the floor. Then you ignored the fact that my whole world was just crushed. Told me to go back in the room, and you continued to pursue this nut. So how was that nut? How did it feel to bust that nut to attempt to satisfy the insatiable spirit of lust by proving you were capable of trust, and with every thrust you increased the chances of climax for her, but disaster for us. But you finally got what you were after, because I silently cried myself to sleep, and you, well, you got that nut. And when Moms came home that day, she could tell something was up, and I remember how I felt so compelled to tell her, but I was only 6 years old, and this weight I would hold just for the sake of keeping my family together. But it didn't take long before Mom found out about other things on her own, and I don't ever remember hearing about court, but within that same year, y'all got divorced. And it was like you divorced me as well. As a husband you failed, as a father you failed, and over the last 10 years, my stepfather was the only influence of a positive black male, and I thank God for him. Just as quickly as you departed, back in my life you came, and I didn't bombard you with blame. I gave you a chance to explain why. For the last 10 birthdays, I didn't receive a gift with your name, and where were you when I graduated the 5th and the 8th grade, and how come you visited everyone but acted like my address had changed? And all those excuses you gave were lame, but you promised things would remain the same. But over the last 10 years, I got better acquainted with crack cocaine. And I remember because you bought it from people I knew in the game, and although your body would crave it, I kept praying that you would abstain because of the willpower of your brain. Gave your life to God and emerged with the blood of Jesus in your veins, and I thought for sure you had beat it. Until this one weekend, me and my friends were riding around cracking jokes and cheaping, and he said, "That dude looks like your dad that's begging for change, man." And the whole car exploded with laughter, and I laughed too. That was right before we got out the car and realized it was you. Gave you $5 and some food to make it through, said you were living on the street, and I told you I had a place where you could sleep, but your pride wouldn't let you see kelp on your future survival was bleak. I forgive you for not being there for me, but I believe it's still a fight. So if you don't change for me or for you, change for your grandchildren, D'Angelo and mine. That's the